afternoon, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. The product that you're going to see here is called WordPro. For want of a very simple description, think of digital flashcards. My team, the local team, myself, Goldie, I'm a graduate student here at UMass Lowell, and I recently got Ruben on board. He's a freshman on a marketing track. Ruben doesn't know it yet, but his entire summer has been taken care of. On the other side, we have my South African team, predominantly contracted professionals. Teachers and students at the bottom are volunteers, bribes, that sort of stuff. The problem started way back in high school for me personally. High school was incredibly traumatic. I was an Afrikaans-speaking student, and I had to learn English. I did okay, except for the 9th grade, second semester. I failed English. Very embarrassing. I thought that it was just a Valdi problem, because it was a small environment. It was apartheid South Africa. We only spoke English and Afrikaans. I was in the minority. Many years later, well, guess what happens? It's post-apartheid. We now have 11 official languages. We have 4.5 million high school students, of which at least 80% speak English as their second language. So suddenly this problem, which was just Valdi's, became a bigger problem, and hence an opportunity. I looked at that environment and I thought digital flashcards would be a great add into the South African environment. Up until this point, we have no digital resources that helps with language learning. Yes, we have the math and the science and the history, but the South African languages are not catered for. So this is what I looked into. The numbers were pretty promising. Grade 12 students, 500,000 students take English as a second language. That's just grade 12. Extrapolate that over 5 years of high school, that's a decent target base. You might wonder why the other companies like the Rosetta Stones and the Bagels and that don't go there. The market is too small. If you look at their numbers, they sell German, French, Italian lessons to millions of people. They're not worried about English as a second language to tiny little market. So it's a great opportunity. Second language is mandatory in high school, so there's a captured market. They have to learn a second language, and at least 80% of those people are doing English as the second language. There's 800,000 new grade 8 students every year, so it's a market that continually refreshes itself. We have students graduate, and we have 800,000 new students, and they all have to pick a second language. 93% of the student population in South Africa has mobile phones. I know that sounds a little scary, but South Africa is 12th highest in the world on mobile penetration. 12th highest. I looked at a number of options in terms of developing my solution, and the first thought, of course, is, well, is there something that we just buy? Yes, there were things. Unfortunately, ridiculously expensive and not customizable. We would have to use that framework exactly as it is, no choices. The numbers didn't work. It would cost us a lot of money, and we'd have to sell 11,400 units of one language to break even, and no economies of scale. So the choice was obvious: build our own solution. I came up with a framework that is completely self-contained on the mobile device, so that limits people of having to use bandwidth all the time. Just install it, and afterwards the only other internet access needed is if they share the results on social media. There's two apps in my idea here. WordPro is the one I'm currently working on, vocabulary building. Down the track, Phrasebo is going to be sentence building. The typical app costs $3.99 to $4.99. My break-even point becomes 2,000 units compared to 11,400. Here's an example of how independent the framework is. The content is collected in a spreadsheet. The category, day of the week. The English word, the Afrikaans word. The part of speech, which is a value add, this is a noun. In Afrikaans, it's called a naamwoord. Then you have the English audio file, the MP3, the Afrikaans audio file, the MP3. That all gets imported into the framework, compiled, stick it into the App Store, do the next one. The constraint becomes how fast can we compile all the words. The framework is there, and it is easily replicable, not only to South African languages, but beyond that. Any other underserved market can work with us. The money so far, $10,000 of my own personal funds. I almost have to sell my mother for this. We're close, but not there yet. What I still need to do English Zulu and English Xhosa, and 1 year of digital marketing to get the product out into the market. Those three numbers together comes to $7,600. Anyone interested? There's a prototype available for the Android platform. You're welcome to play with it. If you don't want to install it on your phone, in the networking later on, you can have a look at it on my devices.
Thank you. The judges have 5 minutes to ask you questions about your idea.
I guess my question is, how effective is your solution? So you've got this phrases and words and sentences, and you want to teach somebody English, but how effective is it? How do you?
Well, here's the idea. I've done a lot of research, not only with students, but with teachers in South Africa. And the way I've presented it is, if I come up with a product that is digital flashcards, would you, as the teacher, be able to use that as a supplemental resource in your classroom environment? And they said yes. All right, what do I need to add? What will make my digital flashcard better than just Monday, Manda, Monday, Manda? The value adds were adding the part of speech, so familiarity, it's a noun, it's an adjective, etc., and adding the audio clip. Yeah, the sound. Because now what happens with the audio clip is the teacher can assign it as homework. This week we're doing days of the week and months of the year. Make sure that you're familiar with the pronunciation by the end of the week. And students can play back and forth. There's a digital social media component on it, so that when students get to the end of days of the week and they've done really well, there's a little animation that goes, yes, you rocked this, share it on social media, and they can then share it with their classmates, going, I got that, how you doing? So from that perspective, it does cater to a student's auditory and visual, as well as interactive, because it's keeping them busy. So it covers more than one learning modality. So from that perspective, we certainly do believe it's going to be effective.
I guess I was just wondering if you had comparisons to Rosetta. Rosetta Stone is in the marketplace, and I think you can use that as a reference point. It succeeded, a lot of people buy it,
right,
and people say it's very effective.
Mm-hmm.
So how is your effectiveness compared against that reference? So I understand teachers said they'll use it, fine. Right. I mean, that's, you ask a question like that to anybody, they'll say, yes, I'll use it, why not, right? It doesn't cost them anything.
I mean, from that perspective, I mean, if we want to do solid numbers, we would have to do it in terms of, have a school roll it out, use it, and measure the results. We have not done that yet. We're at the point now where our product is almost ready for students to actually test it. Yeah. So the teachers that I've been working with, they're prepared to have their students in class, go to the App Store, install the product. The demo version is going to have a few categories in it for them to play with. So students are going to be able to look at that and start getting a feel for it.
And then time for one more question.
How much is $4 or $5 in South Africa versus America? And me personally, I don't know what I've ever paid for an app.
Yeah.
So, and that's, and believe me, I have my own businesses that have failed because of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just asking the question.
Right.
Yeah, can the teacher mandate that they buy it? That was my other.
Right, so the financial aspect.
So let's roll both of that into the same answer. At this point, the teachers cannot mandate it. They can encourage it, yes. The idea is that I want to generate enough interest that we can then go to the governing bodies and say we want this in next year's curriculum. The academic year runs from January, so I have a few months to sort of get that together, build that interest, get the teachers on board and say that they want this as a mandatory app, and then include that in the next year's curriculum. In terms of the cost, in South Africa, school kids pay for everything. You pay for your school uniform, you pay for your textbooks, you pay for your pencils, etc., etc. The vendors, sort of the bookstores and stuff like that, now actually put packages together so that people can just come there, pay their few hundreds, get their box of things. One of those items in the package is a set of pens, 3 highlighters, 3 blue pens, 3 pencils, etc. That set of pens in rands comes to 115 rand and change. This app, when converted with the exchange rate, comes to 75 rand. So it's cheaper than their stationery. So from that perspective, yes, maybe they're not familiar with having to pay for an app, but certainly from a price point perspective, it's certainly
minimal.
Yeah, it's minimal.
It's a one-time, then you own it.
Yes, exactly. It's
Thank
a one-time cost and then you own it.
Thank you, WordPro.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very
You
much.
can have it back.